And when it comes to minimalism, I just get rid of all your shit. That's pretty much what I did. I have 0 pieces of furniture, and yeah, I pretty much sold everything to be able to do this, and I'm completely fine with that because you really don't need it.
I don't know if you guys have any feelings or thoughts on sustainability, but I feel like it kind of goes hand in hand with this lifestyle.
Yeah, just in general, I mean, I think it's very important to step back from all the technology. For one, like if you took away technology, a whole bunch of people couldn't live, and that's terrifying. And not to say, you know, I mean, I could live without any piece of technology. I mean, but I think it's very important to step back and understand how you could. He's great at that. Like, he knows horticulture and he knows carpentry and, you know, how if you did need to live completely off grid, how to do that. And I think that's, even if you don't practice it all times, for one, I think it's extremely important to know how to do it, even if you're not doing it all the time. And I just think it's important because I think people get so disconnected. Like, my friend told me, we went out to eat with like a huge group of people, and they said they play this game where everybody has to set their cell phone in the middle of the table, and the first person to pick it up pays for dinner. And I thought that was an awesome damn plan, but I'm like, that's absolutely nuts that literally you have to do that where you're eating dinner with people. And I'm not to say I'm not guilty of occasionally getting on my phone while I'm like connecting with other people. Sometimes you need it, or again, I'll use it as a camera, but like to constantly be on that or constantly, you know, be on the internet, I try to disconnect from that and just have the experience as opposed to like virtually having the experience. I don't know, I think that's just weird to me personally. But yeah, I think being able to sustain yourself and to just, you know, waste not, want not, you know, if you try to use everything you have, then
to a certain degree there's a conundrum. Like, we're here on their property and we're helping them, which is a good thing, but somebody's got to pay the mortgage, somebody's got to pay for the house, somebody's got to pay for the land. And so yes, by everybody contributing, it makes it an easier load, and you know, it takes a village, whatever you want to say, but it's not, you know, it goes back to like, if everybody lived this lifestyle, nobody could live this lifestyle because there's nobody to live off of.
Yeah.
And it's not that you're being parasitic, it's almost more symbiotic, but you still have to have a host. And without the host, there aren't anybody, you know, helping them and them helping you and that sort of thing. So I think the fact that it goes both ways is important. It's, you know, it's always more blessed to give than to receive, but if nobody is going to be receiving, then you don't get the blessing. I also think that my girlfriend is in Romania, and it's a really poor country, but probably a good 45% of that population still lives an agrarian lifestyle. So they got nothing, but they got food. And the more you know, the more you learn about the banking system and economics and how many layers upon layers upon layers and layers that everybody's dependent on somebody else for worthless stuff. I mean, you know, just financial analyst and data, this, that, and the other. None of it is food. None of it has anything to do with what, you know, my brothers told me. He said, if you want to know what your rights are, have yourself drop naked in the middle of the forest, about 100 miles in any direction from anything, and see how long it takes the balance of nature to kill you. Because we don't realize that, like, even coming across the country like this, there were frontiers people and people who went through tremendous challenge and disease, death, effort, whatever you want to call it, to get to this place, to where we are now. And the vast majority of the people in this country have no idea what it takes, how it takes. And So we take so much for granted. We don't realize how easy we have it, but we also don't realize how fragile all that is and how it could all absolutely blow up in our faces. So I'm looking more towards kind of the rest of after I get back, and because I don't think I'm going to follow in her footsteps, but to create an urban garden kind of consulting and helping people to learn how to grow enough food in their own backyard to survive. I assume people know more than they know. I was raised out in the country in Virginia, and we had a garden, and you know, it was our chore to go down there and pick the beans and weed and all that.
Yeah.
But when you realize that that is a necessity of life, and if it all goes away, if you can still do that, you're okay. But then it goes back to, again, somebody's got to have a piece of land. Somebody's got to have a spot, you know. You don't have to have much of a house, but you got to have a house to have a garden. But it is good to know that that you at least have the skills and the wherewithal to be able to survive if all the money goes.
Well, you're kind of touching on the American lifestyle a little bit. I usually ask people if they could sum up one sort of complaint or disagreement with the typical American lifestyle. What would that be?
I just think people waste a lot and take a lot of stuff for granted. I don't know. I think that's pretty across the board. I just see it happen all the time. Even like how much food people waste. Like obviously if food goes bad, I get it. But like we have a friend, bless her heart, I love her, bless you. But we've both lived with her, and she makes good money, which is good. And she goes out to eat, which is good. I'm for all that. But then she will get like a to-go box of food and never eat it. And like I understand like on certain occasions something comes up or it went bad or you hated the meal or whatever, but like 3 months into living with her, I was like, I'm gonna start eating all your leftovers because this is ludicrous. Like you're throwing out eventually I throw out the food and you're not eating it. That's so wasteful. I think people overconsume all the time. People get a lot of things they don't need, like even with the materialistic stuff. We just do that a lot, and I prefer to be around people that don't do that as much.
Also, I think that as America grew and
Okay.
the population grew and the cities grew and all the different stuff, you had situations where, like farmers, there used to be lots and lots and lots of small farms. Then it became, you know, well, we're going to grow 5,000 acres of wheat and 5,000 acres of soybeans. And so now one farmer supposedly feeds, you know, 78 people or something. But the agricultural practices have gotten down to about two things. How does it look in the market, and how much of it can I get off this ground each season?
Right.
Yield and appearance. That's the only factors that they go for in big agriculture. And if it's pigs or if it's chickens and they've got a house and they can move 4,000 of them through every week, and it goes through this like mechanization, you know, those chickens never get to be chickens. And so we've gotten to where we've sacrificed probably the most critical part of our life, our food, to people who don't really care if it's food or not, because that's not how they make money at it. They make money at it by doing a lot of it and by making it look good. But it doesn't matter what's in it. It's just, how's it look? Did we get rid of all the weeds? We don't want to spend any money on weeds, so we come up with, you know, GMO, Roundup Ready crops that are killing us, but no weeds. So we sacrifice so many things in order to have other things that really don't have very much value at all. And that's what bothers me, is we have given the responsibility of things that we all should be responsible for to just a few.